this session.
Yeah, I hope you can bear with me. I was surprised to get this invitation to host a session. I'm a bit illiterate and I have a problem with my memory and speaking. But let's. So the idea of this 1 hour session is that we will go preparing ourselves for the annual meeting of the Open Knowledge Finland yearly planning meeting or whatever. And we have 3 parts. First, Petri, who's capo of the Open Knowledge Foundation Finland, will tell about the strategy, and then we'll present the 3 working groups, and finally we will go through the guys who will be nominees for the board members of the association. So Petri, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I will use the same slides that we recently used in Cambridge, presenting what happens in Finland. So, well, the legal entity Open Knowledge Foundation was founded in December, and we wanted to have more impact. We wanted to be able to maintain bigger projects and have a louder voice in society, and I think Open Knowledge Foundation is representing maybe the users of knowledge, but with an end-to-end approach, so that what Open Knowledge Foundation does covers everything from making knowledge open to actually learning to use it and using it. So, Open Knowledge Foundation Finland has a background as a very loose network, and there is a lot of people involved. And when we now have been starting to formalize the organization, we have tried to include as many people as possible. So in December, we started a project for planning the strategy, and it was realized in a web service called Trello, where anyone could present questions related to the association. For example, what should exactly be the name of it, or who can use the name of Open Knowledge Foundation Finland. And some of you have been involved in this process, some have not, but quite soon we realized that we have to somehow think about the organizational structure of Open Knowledge Foundation Finland, or Open Knowledge Finland. And this is the main proposal that is now written to the action plan for this year. So we think that creating this organizational structure is the central strategic question that we have now. There is a lot of people who want to be somehow involved, but there is a risk that only the board becomes a bottleneck for action. So we are kind of duplicating the working group, or we are proposing that we should duplicate the working group model that Open Knowledge Foundation uses internationally, and these would then be working groups more related to the Finnish situation. So of course the working groups can have, people can be both active in the international working groups, but also the local ones, and during our visit in Cambridge, we discussed this with the International Open Knowledge Foundation, and we shared an understanding that many times if you want to create concrete change, it may be very good to act locally. So this is the biggest outcome from the strategic process so far. We are proposing that the next board, which will be chosen today, opens a call for working groups. There has been already some more detailed ideas what are the requirements for working groups, but they are not ready yet. But so the main thing is that working groups should have a contact person who is in contact with the board, and then the working group can act very autonomously. But if there is big questions related to some risks, for example, then they can escalate things for the board. And when money is needed, then working groups can also apply for creating projects. And projects will then have project managers, schedules, and goals. So it's maybe strange to have the organizational structure in the strategy and the plan for this year highlighted so much, but we really think that that's the central question that we have to face now, that how are we able to create a structure which helps collaboration and which enables us to do something together. So we don't know so much yet about the different domains, what they will propose for this year, but it's open for the future working groups to plan and decide. And the more like the kind of general Open Knowledge Finland has only one very concrete project in mind, and that's something that has been called the roadshow. So there is an idea that we should during the spring or summer make a roadshow to different Finnish cities. It would be kind of a platform. Maybe we could rent a bus or something. We don't have the exact details yet, but the idea is that the bus enters a city in the morning, and people from different working groups or different domains split out to the city, to different institutions, maybe museums, schools, the city house or something, and then later on in the evening there is maybe some collaborative events, and we would also hope to work together with Apps for Finland. There could be a Apps for Finland info session, and then some evening happening. So that is more or less the only very concrete project that we are proposing at the moment, and this is the organizational structure we are proposing. And when I'm saying now we, I mean the current board of Open Knowledge Finland. So that's the strategic process so far, and it will continue from this. We will somehow refactor the questions in Trello, and when we when we have this somehow decided, I don't know, we don't know yet what the next board, who will be in that, but depending on what the next board decides, we can maybe take this as a kind of basis to build on top and continue solving those strategic questions we have in the Trello. Any comments or remarks or questions so far? Everyone is very quiet. Is this, who thinks this is enough? Is someone surprised? Is someone concerned about something? What is your concern?
Where do you get the money?
We have some money. But for the working groups we have very little, maybe some seed money. We hope that they would be more or less self-funding. And we don't know the details yet about each working group. But we have also reserved some money for, more like seed money, and to then collect more funding for these different projects. Any other concerns, questions, remarks? Jussi?
No, it's just like, let's go.
Ossi again?
Now we are trying to put the structure on a very energy network. How we will sort of keep the energy going on?
We think that the working groups will be the central thing, that people can start to shape the working groups, their needs. And I think the central question is that we need to distribute this so that the board will not be micromanaging everything, but we have, it's also, I think, very important to recognize that we're not starting from the scratch. We have already people who know each other, we have a culture of helping each other. We can continue doing the same thing. And I think it will work.
I have a short comment. A short comment related to this question, the challenge that we have of trying to maintain this sort of network dynamic thing and then getting some structure. This is the same question for the Open Knowledge Foundation Germany as well, and then for the overall network. That this is what it's not only us, but the whole network is trying to cope with, like trying to keep it very open, very dynamic, but it's growing really quickly, and there's a need to have some focus. And there's quite interesting things that we learned in Cambridge last weekend at the network meeting, and there was no time in this event to properly share those results, but at some point this spring in another event we should dedicate one session for sharing what we learned there, and we'll post stuff online as well.
Okay, so we are quite pleased with Petri's view on the strategy, and next we'll go more into the working groups. And you had 4 working groups, but I don't know how many will present here the case in your slides.
Sorry, just a second before we continue. I want to, if this is more something that has inspired me. I don't know, this is a Welsh word, kind of, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's an idea that when you're creating a strategy, you have to understand what is the level of complexity where you operate. And many times organizations think that the environment is simpler than it actually is. So if you are able to analyze, then you have a simple or complicated environment, and you can observe and then make a plan and implement that. But we think that in open knowledge we are in a situation where we operate in a complex environment, and then it is important that you first act. So you probe, you do projects, you test things out, and you then learn from that. And that is also the purpose of the working groups, that we can let everyone just start doing things based on the trust and working methods that we already have, because this group of people already does a lot of things together. We can continue that and learn from that, and then we think that a better understanding of the environment where we operate will emerge from that. So I wanted to give this it's maybe a bit theoretical, but let's continue now to the working groups.
Can you show your slide about the working groups? So who's from the working groups here? Hands?
They don't exist yet. They are ideas for working groups.
Okay, but and how many we have here? Because in your slide it was...
No, we are two for one working group, but
okay.
we do it together.
And how do we go the process?
If we just come to front.
Yeah, all the working group people and first come, first serve. You see.
I will write them down if there's new working groups on.
Okay.
Say
great.
the name of the working group or the suggestion of what the working group.
So I'd like to talk about the Open Science Working Group. We did a lot of probing last evening. So what we ended up with was a plan to start doing things together. So basically, my conclusions were that the mission of the Open Science Working Group, more or less, would be to provide information to both the members of the working group, but also outside stakeholders about open science, its principles, latest developments, etc., and to engage in discussions with actors in the research field about openness in science and in research. For example, engage with the Finnish Open Access Group, tutkimuksen tietoaineistot, different funding bodies such as Tekes, Suomen Academia, etc. So actually we had quite a lot of people, and I think we found a common tune how to work together. What we're going to do is first raise the flag that we are here. This will be accomplished by forming the working group. And we also did straight away direct action a new Facebook group called Open Science Finland. So very much welcome everybody who is interested about open science. We are going to continue the discussions there. In addition, we talked about different gathering resources to a certain place, such as website, wiki, or something, and this will be established later. But I think in general it's important to be engaged with people who are already doing things in this field, so engage everybody with your colleagues and friends and invite them to the working group, and I think this will be the beginning of a beautiful story. Thank you.
From Open Ministry. We had a quick ad hoc session yesterday with people interested in setting up or proposing a working group for open democracy. And there's a Etherpad if you go to muistio.tieke.fi/okf and open them. You'll find, you can sign up, you can leave your contact details at the bottom of that document. There's about 10 or so of us now signed up to this working group, which we are proposing to the upcoming Open Knowledge Finland board. Our description is that we want to develop and promote open democracy tools and processes in all areas and that includes open preparation and decision making in all levels of government, open budgeting, open lawmaking, and open decision data, things like open city planning even. But we coordinate these actions with different working groups. So for example, if there's an open cities working group, then that would probably, we need to negotiate how we split those tasks. And obviously there's interaction with the open government data on some parts of what we're doing. So we want to work together, obviously, with the different working groups. Thanks.
I'm here to talk about the Open Cities working group, which is still, we definitely came into the result that it's needed. It could be this kind of maakuntaosasto, so the way to reach the municipalities and kind of get some kind of reach all over Finland. But we have to still discuss, is it a working group or is it just a group of interested people who are kind of taking the work from the other working groups and kind of disseminating to the cities and engaging the cities. And we are taking quite wide approach with the open cities topic, so it can be anything from local democracy to opening up data and APIs, developer engagement, and utilization of city spaces, making the city public spaces open. And but what we wrote down is kind of two targets. So we're trying to do this bottom-up approach together with the roadshow, and we had somebody from the library of Helsinki who was kindly reminding us that libraries are actually quite a nice way to get the citizens engaged and somehow create pressure from bottom up so that they would start demanding their city to be more open. And then from top down we are trying to create this set of criteria for cities to be more open. So what are the criteria for open city? And then we would crowdsource all the municipalities that how open are they at this point, and then create this challenge for cities that they could kind of join and say that okay, we are taking these and these measures to be more open, and maybe have an app contest and so on. But this is kind of the two approaches we would like to see taking place this year. But that's all, I guess.
Hello, I'm Heini from Avoin Clan Future Working Group, and so Clan goes for galleries, libraries, archives and museums. And we met yesterday, and I think we are actually quite long way having agenda on table, and you will tell about that, will you?
Yes. So there are certain steps that we are going to be going through this year, and we believe we are going to do 2 pilot projects in which we want to develop some good cases to follow here in Finland. What else?
And then we set up a monthly meeting habit, and the next meeting will be on March, probably in a library. And we would like to welcome you all to join us. We are especially searching for parties who would like to open some cultural data, or maybe work with opened cultural data. So we want to do pilots that go all the way from the opening to the actual products that use that data. Thank you.
Hey, my name is Tarmo. Open education. No clear focus yet, because open education can be anything from open source solutions to open content, OER, OCW, MOOCs, open learning, open educational practices, informal learning, and all that. There's a lot. It's a mess. Come and join us. We'll figure out what to do with that.
And one more idea of a working group, open sustainability. This is in the local context. There has been a lot of discussion about energy data and specifically personal energy data. So there's an idea to do a hackathon to work with energy data this year. In the global Open Knowledge Foundation, CO2 data will be the focus during next 1 or 2 years, where the network will try to campaign to open more CO2 data. And this process started in OKFest, where Hans Rosling gave this speech and sort of demanded that we need to get more proactive with CO2 data. So there's a plan for a global campaign that we could join as well. So, but this is a very early discussion, so please join and let's figure out what to do.
So now if anybody has any ideas, they can be just very preliminary ideas for any working groups. You can just raise your hand and shout out, and if there's interest, then maybe that working group materializes now or at a later point, but you can just throw out any ideas for any working groups at this point.
One idea, maybe open licenses. I'm not sure if there's need to have a separate working group for that, create common licenses, free artist licenses, all the other licenses that are available there, open source licenses, so forth. Is there a need for that? Do you think so?
We'll write them all down and
Alright,
you can
have a paper of them.
Yeah, we'll pass around papers so you can sign up to any of the working groups, and if there seems to be interest for a specific working group, then it might materialize.
I was thinking, was I dreaming, was there supposed to be a group called Open Government, or was it the session just ended a moment ago?
There was the Open Government Partnership session, and there's working groups now for open democracy and open government data. So is that on the list already?
No, there is not.
You should add that on the list.
But it's not been. Okay.
Yeah, open government data.
Yeah.
I think was it open data or open government data? I don't know what was the working title.
Is Raima or Yogi here?
Yogi. It was Yogi who was.
Okay.
So, this is not my proposal, but I think the persons who are being proposed this are not present. So there has been a proposal for open design, which would include design processes, open hardware, I don't know exactly what. Just so you know.
Anyone interested in open design? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, roll it.
Other ideas? Suggestions?
Why don't you just open government?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's papers going around now for each of the suggested working groups, so you can sign up if you want to hear more or maybe even join the work of the working group.
One more idea, I'm sure if it's, again, consider that international relations, including relations to the OKFN, the network, and other international actors. Anyone interested in the international relations? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, just set it up as a thing.
International relations, that's a concept.
Working title. Or a potential working group.
Does this open sort of development include into the international? Yeah, okay, so I think the open development theme, there are some people who could. Yeah, because the Minister of Foreign Affairs and at least some are in this open development field. I would like to see that kind of working group as well. Is there anybody in that area?
We will for sure work with that. Actually, we are.
Hi, I'm Satu from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I work in the communication department with development communications. We had at the OK Festival already a stream for open development, and it was quite a big success, I think. And we have just recently started a working group at the Ministry for this theme of open knowledge. And we were actually planning to have a workshop already here, but we didn't have time to prepare it. So now we're planning to have an event devoted on this theme coming up soon. So if you have any ideas related to that, please contact me. I will probably inform you about it. Because I think it will happen in the next few months. But nothing more concrete. And yeah, we have already the data open on the disbursements that we have done for development cooperation in the past 60 years. So there's plenty of open data in that field.
Related to open development, that will also be an important theme in the international network because OK Fest will take place in Geneva, and that's where UN and many other organizations are located. And if the week starting on 16th of September, Monday the 16th of September, on that week OK Fest will be organized in Geneva, so you can maybe put that in your calendar. It will be announced officially soon. But yes, I think that was all for the working groups, I think.
One thing that's my favorite is open business, of course, because we have to get it sustainable from the economic sense. So if there are startups or any businesses who want to make money or discuss about that would be, I think, work of a working group. And the last of the three parts was the candidates for the board. And I think the best way is that we give 1 minute per person to present the case, and then we will shoot with really difficult questions for the candidates. Or my proposal that guys who are volunteering for the candidates, for the nominee, will come here and pass the microphone.
Guys and girls.
Okay. Dharma, you will start.
Right. Yeah, there was a form where people could sign up, but that's not necessary. So if you are potentially interested in sort of running the organization in the board, you're welcome to join. Alright, short introductions. Tarmo Toikkinen, researcher at Aalto University, head of Creative Commons Finland, more or less, even though it's not an official organization. Quite a number of years of experience in working in various organizations, in boards and steering groups, so should be able to keep things rolling. Next. I'm the only one. But it's dictatorship, just like
I was on the interim board until today, since December, and I'm up for continuing this year also, if the General Assembly after lunch so decides. I'm on the founder of the Open Ministry, where we seek to crowdsource legislation, how laws are made, and interested in all things open. I've been a startup entrepreneur for 10 years since last year, turning into an activist. So that's my background.
I'm Petri Kola, and I'm also running for board. My background is in open government data. I've been lobbying it and being active in that for several years, and for a couple of years I worked for Helsinki Region InfoShare, mainly as a community manager. So I think I have quite good understanding about this kind of loose organization and how to help people do what they want to do, and I also know the politics. I also know the politics of open knowledge quite well and the international scene. Anyone else?
So hello, so my name is Velo Mustonen, and I've been also in the interim board. Previously, during past 10 years, I was involved in organizing a festival called Pixelake, festival of electronic art. So I've been mostly coming from the art, design, technology background, but I've had this strong interest in sort of self-organized, collaborative, like grassroots practice. So in that sense, this domain of open knowledge is quite familiar to me. But specifically, I've been involved in this community now for a year, and last year mostly in organizing OK Fest. And I'm really curious of how we can make this sort of organizational structure work. So I'd be happy to continue in the board.
Am I the only woman again? Cannot be. Okay, my name is Sanna Marttila and I would like to continue at the board of Open Knowledge Finland. I work at the Aalto University and I would like to continue opening up open culture and making cultural heritage open for everybody. Yeah, thanks.
Any more candidates? No? I mean, there's still
Nobody used to make it. No.
Yes, there is a list online, so there's some people who are applying for the board who are not present, at least not at the moment, but we can go through the list when we do the actual annual meeting in the afternoon, so we can go through those names then. So there's maybe, Tarmo, do you want to say something about how the voting will go? Or?
Yeah, we'll have a meeting.
Okay, we'll do that later on, yes.
Something about applying for the board membership. There was a lot of names in the list when we founded the association. I think things are better now than 2 months ago, months ago. So I would just encourage you to think about applying still for the board if you're interested. Plenty of names there, many of them are good again. So raise your hand and come and speak if you're still interested. Or I mean, it can be also happening in the main general meeting.
Täällä on siis listassa siis Matti Kinnunen ja Jaakko.
At least in the form we have Matti Kinnunen and Jaakko Korhonen who volunteered. Would you guys like to stand up and say a few words?
Hello, my name is Matti Kinnunen. I'm a system architect, and what interested me in this open data is how we can use it in business, because I'm an ICT management consultant and I would like to see Finnish companies to use open data and also to open some of their data. In my work I see these ICT departments and I see that they are not very competent, so they would need some kind of education also in this area. But I'm not able to stay here for the meeting because I have to leave my bike before the snowstorm starts.
They're still running, so you will be forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jaakko was my roommate and I believe he
mean, I could say that Jaakko jumped in recently, like a month or two ago, when the association was officially founded, and he's really spent a lot of energy in the process of working on the action plan and the strategy and so on, and he's given fantastic input to the process, so it would be really great if he could continue. But maybe he can tell more about himself in the meeting as well. And I think this is it, more or less. I mean, the next thing is like the closing words. I mean, Yogi should be here to do this. So, I mean, like on my behalf, I would like to thank all of you, and maybe I just pass the mic with some of the key people if you have any sort of closing words to share.
Joki on mic kohta täällä.
Okay, so Joki is around.
5 minuuttia.
Any comments from the audience? Any last thoughts?
If I'm not.
Anyone? Comments?
My name is Eve, and I just want to thank everyone for sharing everything you've done, and I've got one wish, that we can come back here in the summer and experience this place and each other and everything again.
Can I? If you don't mind. I just also want to thank the organisers. It's been wonderful to be as a participant this time. But 24 hours might seem a lot, but it actually felt really short. And I'm actually craving more. So it would be nice to have something similar during the summer. I would be up for a longer time as well. Perhaps, it depends. I mean, so anybody who thinks the same more or less, that like to come again soon, please raise your hand.
How many hands up? At least 30, 50.
Good. So, yeah, maybe we have to start thinking about the next thing.
And we know that you're all tired and it's been fantastic 24 hours and felt the energy and the ideas that we had in the session, so thank you all for coming. But we would like you all to stay for the General Assembly meeting. I know that there will be lunch and you would like to go skiing and see your family and so forth, but if you can, please stay with us with the General Assembly meeting.
We have almost forgot something really important. We need to take a group photo.
Oh no! We don't have a group photo!
So please everyone rise up and come here so that we can have a photo of everyone who was here. And was still alive in the morning.
One thing, you could like, kind of raise your hands up or something like that. Yep, I got it. Yeah, at least we got some.